Hey YouTube, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? It's the 8th of June, 2019. Just had a pretty decent dinner. Um, Especially those nectarines I had were pretty stinking good. Anyway, I couldn't help myself. I had like five of them, plus some vegetables and grass-fed beef, that sort of thing. So I've had my sweets for the day. So I have a few thoughts on my mind, and I might put out a. I was thinking about some political things earlier, but that can wait. I mean, I was thinking about putting out something just fully explaining my current political beliefs and views. But I don't know if I'm going to do that really. I mean, I think I think I'm going to wait till you guys actually request that kind of stuff. But I guess suffice to say, in case anyone's wondering, I'm a moderately conservative independent. So I don't really ally myself fully with any party. But I do lean very sympathetically toward libertarians, constitutionalists, Republicans sometimes, and some of the Tea Party thing, and that whole kind of family of you get the idea. But there's other parties that I'm sure I ally myself with. Um, yeah. So that's kind of my current alliances. I suppose you could say constitutionalist, libertarian, some conservatives and Republicans. I mean, more conservatives, yes, moderately conservative somewhat. But I don't know. These are all terms that sometimes can mean different things than you actually intend them to mean. But that's kind of in a nutshell where I'm at. But if you guys want me to make a more politically charged video, that sort of thing, I certainly will. I just don't really feel the need to. But I suppose with this video, I wanted to mention some other things that have been on my mind as of late. Um, so I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, or you know, I don't know how can I put this. Um, I'm a fan, and I can tell you a little bit more of. I think you guys could probably guess at this point if you've been watching a lot of my stuff, what it is about Harry Potter that I enjoy more. Um, but I'm a Potter fan, sure. I don't know if I wouldn't call myself a Potterhead. It sounds like a druggie anyway. And besides the Harry Potter thing was, yeah, it's somewhat juvenile, kind of, kind of. So it might be interesting to go over some more aesthetic things about this, but let me get to the more controversial thing first that you guys are probably itching to hear about, because maybe sometimes you might have a bone to pick with this particular person. So as things go with movies, we love to not only watch movies, but we like to kind of get into everybody's real life personalities and things. It's a kind of it's a fairly common thing. It's more of I don't I don't ever read tabloids. I don't ever watch you know stuff on TV that has to do with celebrities and all that stuff. But it's related. I mean, all that kind of thing is related. And I do kind of keep a general. I do kind of keep my radar up for these sorts of things. But again, I'm not a person that dives into it ever like fully. Like it consumes my time. I'll put it that way. I'm not that kind of person. So, I mean, if I hear something kind of crazy, oh, okay. Will Smith just, you know, pushed a guy or something, or he shoved a guy who was trying to kiss him in France or something. That was a while back. That kind of stuff is the stuff that I'll see it like, huh, okay, well, don't Willa doesn't like to be kissed unless you're a woman that it's his wife or something. I don't know. I don't know. So, but that's like just like a lot of other folks, I keep my radar up for that kind of thing. So let's get okay. I'm kind of going sideways here, some tangents. Harry Potter and all things regarding their actors and actresses. So there's a whole bunch of them, of course, because there's 7 movies, and we all love Richard Harris and that other guy. What was his name that played Dumbledore? I just can't get his name escapes me at the moment. But we all like those guys, and we love Alan Rickman, and we love Maggie Smith, and we love um, Jason Isaacs, and we love the guy who plays Voldemort. Again, his name escapes me at the moment. And of course Tom Felton and Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint and Robert Pattinson and the other folks, you know, the Phelps brothers, whatever, and there's a whole bunch of other guys as well. We love them all. We love all those guys. Or do we? There's one person, only one person, that sometimes a little bit, what? You know, it isn't Daniel Radcliffe. It's not him. He's fine. He's cool. He doesn't happen to be Christian. That's okay with me. I've known so many agnostics and atheists and things that it's not really an issue for me. It's really easy for me to understand that whole thing, the liberal mindset and the agnostic and atheist thing, because I grew up in Western Washington. That was so many of the people I grew up with. I have a family member who's that way, and it's just not a thing, right? I would like it if they were Christian, sure. I would like it if they were more conservative, sure. But it's not something that occupies any part of my time or energy in any sizable way. It's not something that bothers me. And so Radcliffe is fine. And of course, I like Rupert. And, Tom is just an amazing guy. I would love to meet Tom Felton. He's just so cool. I know everybody's like, especially if you're younger, you're teenagers, whatever. Nah. It's hard to see, that's always the way it is. When someone plays a villain and then they're in real life, they're an awesome guy. And speaking of blonde guys, William Zabka, the same thing. So Tom Felton, blonde guy, plays an evil guy. Draco Malfoy, of course, in Harry Potter. And, of course, William Zabka played Johnny Lawrence in Karate Kid. And there's the Karate Kid new thing. If you have YouTube, whatever, you're watching that stuff, that's all fine and good. And, of course, you have Dolph Lundgren, who's even a bigger guy, who played Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. And I don't know why I'm mentioning this stuff right now. Just maybe what I'm going to get to is a little bit more irksome sometimes. But, so, okay. So who is it I'm talking about? I know, 8 minutes into this video. Sorry, guys. Well, it's Emma Watson. Is it Emma or Emily? Oh, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. It's the chick who played Hermione Granger. It absolutely is. It's that girl. When I watched the movies, she really was she was great in the first movie or two. And as time went on, and you saw her whole personality develop, there was something about her that I just couldn't put my finger on. I couldn't do it. I'm like, something about this chick really kind of annoys me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The girl that played Luna Lovegood had an unnaturally high voice for the role, but in real life, she's fine. She was doing her best to play kind of a more spaced out blonde chick, and and that's fine. She did a fine job. The chick that played the Chinese girl was fine too. All the girls are fine. All the Indian girls and everything, the Patel girls, that's fine. But Emily or Emma, the life of me can't. Emma Watson. I'll just call her Watson. Sounds like I'm talking about Sherlock Holmes. Watson. She thinks she's kind of like Watson. That's true. She thinks she's so amazing. It's a good, we should all feel that way. but it's very evident that she's young and she is really clueless. She has no idea. She has no idea what she's saying sometimes. I mean, like, yeah, it's, I want to say, just like with many other people in the limelight of, in, I feel so bad for these people. I shouldn't be upset with them. I should feel bad for them because they're really making themselves out to look like idiots when they say things and they're younger, and they don't really fully understand what it is they're saying and how it could be interpreted, and then they get really emotional. Watson has a sensitivity about her. That's one of the good things about her. She's hurt by all these things that people have said about, guess what, her feminist stuff. Yeah, she's hurt by that stuff. I mean, she has some good aspects to her. Sure, we've always seen that. You see it in her acting, and you see it. She's not a bad person. Nobody's saying she's a bad person. What she is, though, is she's infuriating. She's fairly annoying, and because of what she says. So I've dated liberal girls. Don't get me wrong. I know this subject so well. I still interact with folks that are left leaning in this respect and feminists, and to some extent or another, I still have people I talk with on an ongoing basis that are women that lean this way more. Some that are in my church, some that are just whatever. It's a Washington thing, and it's just, nobody wants to be put on a pedestal and be treated like a little pretty princess. Well, if girls are that way, that's great too. But there are some girls that don't want to be put in that. They don't want to be treated like a dainty little cupcake, right? Okay, I'm sorry, folks. I'm kind of keep going on these tangents. Emma Watson is Watson. She wants to. I don't know what she wants to do. She wants. J.K. Rowling has similar views, of course, but Rowling, we kind of like Rowling more for her imagination rather than her politics. It's an old tired hat. If we don't take Rowling as seriously, we can take Rowling less seriously in a political arena, and that's fine. We can still read her books. That's fine. She's cool with that. I don't detest J.K. Rowling. I don't dislike her, even though some things she's said have been a little clueless, sure, especially about the whole immigrant thing. But I think, I don't know. It's just controversial. I'll just say it's controversial. She touches on these controversial things, far more controversial, in my opinion, than anything having to do with gayness. Dumbledore's gay. That was blown out of proportion. People can believe whatever they want to believe. She has no control over that. But, the immigrant thing is more controversial, in my opinion, because, well, there are a lot of people from other countries in England, especially London, and so they call London home, and they want to live in England. But this is a controversial thing. But so this is Europe. So Rowling said some things that sounded pretty crazy, and I certainly don't agree with her, but I'm not necessarily wanting to boot out all the Pakistanis and folks in Bangladesh from England. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, well, this is an issue because if you have a Christian, we'll just say, okay, for all practical purposes, it's originally not a Muslim nation, or you can call it a Christian nation, but it's not just a Christian nation. That's how Christian nations are. They're not just Christian, but Christian nations and democracy kind of thing. It's, very inviting, but generally speaking, but it's anyway, it's an issue, and I'm still kind of evaluating how I feel about some of these things, but I mean, it's what I'm trying to say is that I kind of still treat J.K. Rowling with a lot of respect. I think we all do. I think it's really easy to be a kind of a knee-jerk person when you backlash against conservative or Xenophobic views, maybe. I don't know if you want to call it that, but it's easy to kind of to do that, and then it doesn't really help anything unless you're actually helping your society. The only thing that you do when you do that is you're just expressing a more liberal belief, and that's just words. What really matters is are people being able to have enough food and people get enough jobs and what's life like in where you live and how can you improve it, and that's what matters. And so it's just a lot of hot air until things really start improving or not. That's what really matters, of course. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk. I didn't want to talk about that. I want to get back to Emma Watson here for a bit. This has been out for a while, and it's just something that So it's nothing. It's nothing new. It's nothing. I'm not talking about anything new, but it's because she keeps kind of getting at this feminist thing that's blown out of proportion, in my opinion. Um, it really is because it's just. I don't know how old this chick is, now, but she should be old enough to know when to zip it. And you can talk about, everybody talks about feminism. Everybody talks about women's rights. It's not really that I'm talking about. It's the way that she talks to men. It's what she says about men. And we don't take seriously older women that say crazy things. I know there's like the Gloria Steinems, and I've heard all the Jane Fonda stuff in the past. I don't know. That's all somewhere in the back of my mind. That was more my parents' generation. I wasn't even born yet, so that stuff. That's a backdrop to modern feminism. This is the post women's rights to vote thing era. This is the post hippie era of feminism. That's a little bit different type of thing. And Emma is just, what's she saying? Well, she's saying a heck of a lot more than women need to be paid equally and, treat women with respect and all this stuff. She's saying a heck of a lot more than that. She's when you have some kind of a viewpoint where you have some kind of beef with the opposite sex, or you have just something really nutty that's going on in your psyche, and you don't quite say it the way you wanted it to. It's very easy to get this notion that Emma Watson is not fond of guys or not really respectful toward guys in general. I don't think that's what she meant, but it's really easy, based on what she's been saying in the past and currently, to think that way. It really is. You have to keep her age in mind. You have to keep whatever thoughts she has about guys in mind. She's an idiot. She's a young idiot, and hopefully with time she'll figure things out. And J.K. Rowling was probably a huge influence on her. It's probably a good thing in many respects. I'm not saying liberalism is evil. Everybody's quick to say liberalism is evil. It's not evil. It's just, well, one thing for sure, it's definitely not fully in line with the culture of staunch Orthodox Judeo-Christianity. It's you can be both, but it's different, and it depends on the issue. That's an old hat. Look, I'm not. This is not what I want to talk about, but she's an idiot. I mean, but maybe she'll figure out things, and maybe she'll soothe some enraged males. But hey, the more she talks about this stuff, it's like she's digging her own grave, in a way. I mean, let's say Radcliffe has similar views. He's just not in the press that way. He's a smart guy. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he has similar views, of course, but what is Emma suggesting that guys do differently? Guys can always be better people. and always be more righteous. But aside from improvements in character, right? What exactly does she want guys to do differently? I mean, by improvements in character, it also means treating women with more respect. But if you're abusive, or if you already have those problems already, Emma needs to talk to about those guys rather than guys that already do this. No guy wants to keep hearing over and over and over again that they're this way when they're not. No guy wants to hear that just because they don't interact. It's just a question of how much you're interacting with other people and in what regard. But it's interesting when you go to church and you are considerate toward young women in general, or women in general. You are, and you don't take advantage of your, you know, more or less increased strength over most women. You don't take advantage of that. You don't take advantage of them certainly sexually, you know, and you are a good man. But men like this don't really enjoy hearing over and over again that they're doing something wrong, um, because they're not liberal, or they're not offering women, because it's not offering that you give something to women just because they're a woman. It's patronizing. But what is it that women want from men that have better character? And so if men already have not so great character, some very serious character flaws in regards to the things that Emma's talking about, then that makes sense that she should talk to those kinds of guys. But when you make a blanket statements like this that she's made, it makes her look like an idiot. Because, well, other than that, it's just kind of irritating. It's infuriating. But you have to remember, we always have to remember, her maturity level, her age, and again, she's the person that she looks up to the most. One of them is probably J.K. Rowling. Rowling, again, would say similar things, but probably has a little bit better grasp on this sort of thing than Emma. I don't know. I don't have a spot in the UN Council. It's easy to just kind of say things like, "What the devil is she doing there?" Like, really? It's hard for me to understand how someone like Emma Watson can be treated very. But then it just makes the UN look like a joke, right? And in a lot of respects, the UN is kind of a joke to begin with. So hey, there you go. I don't know. I don't want to be too hard on the UN in this video. And it's also kind of a politically charged thing to say that UN is kind of a joke, but it is. But at least they do a lot of peacekeeping things, which is nice, as far as we know. But, oh gosh, there's something else I was going to mention about this whole thing. When I get comments from, let's say, younger folks, not always. Who knows? When I get comments again that just sound not very well thought out, and in real life, I do kind of. This comes from the 20-somethings and teens. I'm gonna say 20-somethings because I forgive teens pretty quickly. I do. But for adults, the 20s, 18, 19, 20, later 20s especially. I don't know. There are people in real life that sometimes say some very thoughtless things. I just let it go. I realize they're just kind of idiots. They said something dumb. It's not about me. It's just they're just said something dumb. And I grew up with that kind of stuff. Sorry about the phone call. I get this stuff all the time around here. So I do apologize. Maybe wrap this up. I said what I wanted to say here. If you guys don't know, I'll make a second video actually. Oh no, I'll go for a bit longer here. Just to talk about Harry Potter a little bit, because I mentioned that a little bit. Yeah, we expect, it's the way we kind of view movies a lot of times. I said my piece about Emma, not a fan, but she's a young idiot. So, just so when we watch movies when we're younger and we formulate ideas about, it's hard for us sometimes to separate the character in a movie from the person in real life, but we need to do that, especially if we're north of your mid-teens somewhere or something. But Harry Potter. Okay, so for me, Harry Potter, it's a great story. I love the story. But more than the story, the thing about J.K. Rowling is there are things that are very interesting about her, and the way she created the whole universe, the world of Harry Potter, and I think it can be still further developed very much, very much. It just drew me in. I love England. I love Scotland. That's always been the way things have been, and Europe in general, of course. And the thing is I mean, look, Hogsmeade and butterbeers and the movies were beautiful and candy and Bertie Bott's every flavored beans and a lot of fun magic, or magic that's not meant to hurt you too much, and everything about the everything was just so rich. It was so rich in its attention to detail and all these things that I loved it. And I liked the idea. And this I knew about this stuff before watching Harry Potter. I was thinking about this stuff. I've always liked the idea of designing buildings and things, but the idea of secret chambers and secret tunnels, and well before Harry Potter, I was already thinking about what school would I prefer to be in rather than what I'm in currently. This is all old. This is very familiar stuff to me, very very familiar. And you know, Eton College is amazing, and whatever Oxford, Cambridge, just beautiful. Sure, the Ivy, all that stuff it just gets to me, And this is one of the things I liked most about Harry Potter. And then the English culture, of course, British, whatever. And then you have all the other kids that make it more interesting too. So a lot of course, Hagrid and everything in the Forbidden Forest. If I were to do a series of stories in the future, publish it, you could take a very similar. I don't know. Yeah. The things that I tend to dwell on the most, I think, or the things that have the most lasting value for me, have more to do with fantasy, my love of fantasy itself. Again, I mentioned free associations in another video, but as a kid, you do these things automatically. Some kids more than others. I was doing it all the time, all the time. I wasn't even aware of the times I was doing this. You walk into a forest and you notice if there's we'll call it, I don't know, runes or something on the trunks of trees, and whoa, that might be kind of a scary thing, or it might just be some Viking was there a long time ago and made these marks, and, but well, that's a question of but that's just one of so many things. So an infinite number of different trains of thought with fantasy, and so it's the fantasy kind of environment, and certain characters you have very fond feelings for, like Hagrid, Dumbledore, absolutely. For me, there's a lot of other characters that are great too, but like Minerva McGonagall. I know exactly what kind of person she is, and they picked the right person to play her. Maggie Smith. In real life, Maggie Smith, fine lady. She can be stern, but I think that she does the stern role so often that we think that she's this, wears her spectacles low on her nose and just is really, hard nosed. In real life, she's more of a softie, but gosh, she plays those really tough old biddies pretty well. I shouldn't say she's not that old, but no, she does a really good job at playing the very, prim and proper. But no, actually that's not the right words I were going to use. I would say stern, authoritative, old Victorian era English sensibility type, ladies and stuff, like, a little bit intimidating, or a little bit, you gotta be very well mannered around this lady, But that's not really, it's just not really her in real life. Yeah, no, you always bring in elements to your real personality to what you do, I suppose. But Maggie sometimes wonders if she's not commanding enough, because she knows certain roles are quite. You have to be really pretty blunt and brutal and fearless and stuff. So anyway, again, most of this was about Emma. I hope she grows up. I hope. It's just you don't want to say things. If I can take anything away, if if you guys could take anything away from this, it's like just avoid making blanket statements about the opposite sex. It's sometimes hard to do, but it just sounds ridiculous because it just isn't true. But it's easy to say these things when you're upset. I do the same thing sometimes, but it's just not true. And it's just a question of, you know, well, hopefully, at some point you meet more people that are nicer that are members of the opposite sex. And if it doesn't happen for a while, then you just have to, try to connect with on some level with the folks from the other opposite sex that are nicer and, in some form or another. Yeah, I don't know. But it's just not true. It's not true that men are all, you fill in the blanks. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.